Dating back to a career that began in the 1970s, Mr. Caudill's career in the energy industry has been one of vision. He has constantly worked to remind us of the value of sustainable energy sources for our future, one of the grand challenges of our time. Nowhere has this been more apparent than over the past decade. Mr. Caudill's leadership work with both NV Energy Incorporated and Berkshire Hathaway Energy led to billions of dollars of investment in the development, construction, and operation of grid-tied solar photovoltaic power plants. A firm believer in giving back to his community, Mr. Caudill worked as the two-term chairman of the Western Folklife Center, and as a member of the board of the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, has helped showcase the beauty and heritage of our state. His work with the Nevada Military Support Alliance Committee has helped provide financial support and assistance to Nevada men and women of the armed forces. For all this and so much more, we thank our President's Medalist, Mr. Paul Caudill. Congratulations, Mr. Caudill. We are pleased to honor you today and grateful to also have you as this morning's commencement speaker. Will you all please join in giving a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Paul Caudill.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm going to go off script here just a little bit. I thought we were going to be here with about 100 people, so this is a little bit more than what I expected. But it helps to share a restroom with about 30 young grads as you get ready, hopefully we have some fun today. I'd like to thank you, President Johnson, Ms. Ellis, for the kind introduction to participate in this special ceremony this week, along with Ms. LaFrance, Dr. Christensen, Dr. Douglas, and Governors List and Sandoval is truly an honor. I frankly am not sure what I've done to deserve it, but today is one we won't forget. Before I provide a few thoughts for the graduates for you to consider, let me thank you, President Johnson, for your leadership. You and I met for the first time over 5 years ago. I was new to Nevada, and in that first meeting, you did a great job of describing your goal and that of your colleagues to achieve a top-level ranking for UNR as a research institution. You also shared with me your desire to improve the quality of student life for your students and the overall campus experience. If I recall that first meeting, you thought it might take 6 or 7 years to achieve at least the research goal if things went well. As you noted in your remarks, the university was named by the Carnegie Foundation as a very high research R1 institution in December 2018. It's a tremendous honor reflective of a lot of hard work and was achieved a couple years ahead of schedule. So President Johnson, you deserve a round of applause for us for your leadership. What a day for all of you, your families and friends, and I frankly wasn't quite sure what to talk about this morning. I thought to myself, what do a bunch of everybody's young to me, but what would a bunch of young college graduates want to hear from a 65-year-old gray-haired guy who spent his year in the power business? I know it sounds pretty boring. So I did what I often do when confronted with a little indecision. I asked my most trusted consultant for some advice. To be clear, this consultant is my wife, Jane. She's from the Midwest, very grounded, and before she quit work in 2002 to allow me to go back to graduate school, was in a leadership position with a technology business. Jane possesses what I call a very fine mesh BS filter, one that I've relied on a lot over the years. So it took her about 10 seconds to consider the question, and she offered the following advice. Number 1, don't tell any jokes. Number 2, don't talk about yourself, or to be a little more honest, she said, nobody wants to hear about you. So just about when I start thinking I'm all of that, as my kids would say, she has a way of bringing me back to earth, however. She did allow that I might share a life lesson or two from my experiences, and I'm going to take her up on that through a couple of stories that I hope will resonate with you as you embark on your next steps. And finally, number 3, and I quote, "Keep it short. Remember you're standing in the way of a heck of a party when this thing is over." So here we go, and I'm on the clock. 10 minutes. This is a special day for you graduates and for me too. Let me offer that we would not be here today without the love, support, and commitment of family, friends, co-workers, and those here at the university who have invested time in you and in me. As you embark on your next steps, whatever they may be, it might be beneficial to take time and reflect on these relationships that you've built and think about what you can do to nurture them as you move forward. Which brings me to a thought I've had for some time about what life and careers really are. At this stage of my journey and our journey, I find myself thinking more and more about how I would describe my personal life and my career, and it's crystallized for me. My life and professional career is nothing more than a series of professional relationships and personal relationships layered on top of each other through time. Each one of these relationship layers, when looking back for me all the way to grade school, continues to be a meaningful contributor to the fullness of my life experience. Might sound a little deep, but stop and think about it at this stage in your journeys and you will find examples. Several of my very best friends today are those I went to grade school with in Richland, Washington a long time ago. We remain close, sharing life's ups and downs to this day. And as for the most recent layer, I would not be sharing this day with you had Jane and I not moved to Nevada in 2013 from our home in Arizona. The move was unexpected, it was unplanned, and to be very honest, more than a bit of a shock to our family. We knew the professional challenge was one that we wanted to tackle, but were concerned about leaving 2 of our children, a grandchild, and friends that we enjoyed for close to a decade. What came out of the move, however, though, is another layer of personal relationships that changed our lives for the better, almost immeasurably so. Some of these Nevadans will share part of the day with me. Reed and Mary Simmons. Mary's here today. Jeff and Rhonda Ceccarelli. Steve Miller and Maureen Malarkey, all of whom, by the way, either are UNR alumni or have deep ties to the university through their kids who attended. How close are we to these newer friends who we did not know 6 years ago? Well, you guys think about how many people you'd be willing to go to the playa with just to experience Burning Man and share a 20-foot trailer with, which we did in 2017. You didn't expect that, did you? I would say that's close, and we had a hell of a good time. So to circle back, as you move forward, you have the opportunity to build upon and enrich the relationship layer you built during your education here. My counsel would be to take advantage of that opportunity and don't let it slip away. Receiving your undergraduate and graduate degrees today marks an important milestone. You've studied hard, you've learned from your teachers and your peers. As a second little lesson, I would offer receiving your degree is just one important step in a long life of learning. My favorite business school read at Northwestern was authored by University of Southern California Professor Warren Bennis. Some of you business school grads may have read it. The book is titled On Becoming a Leader. Professor Bennis writes that study, travel, people, work, play, reflection, all are sources of knowledge and understanding, but so curiously are mistakes. And I might add to these sources of knowledge that he calls out adversity and how we respond to it as another source of knowledge and understanding. In chapter 6 of the book, he exhorts us to deploy ourselves, to strike hard, and to try everything, and to do it with passion. He writes about the value of self-knowledge, the ability to reinvent yourself, and how important mentors can be in this whole personal and professional journey. To be clear, and I'm going to share some stuff that I probably haven't done before, but to be clear, I really have nothing to lose at this stage of the game. But to be clear, I didn't start my career as the CEO for a Berkshire Hathaway company. What I really wanted to be was a professional baseball player, a left-handed pitcher. I did better than most of the kids I started playing ball with at age 7, but after 2 years of playing in the Pacific 8 Conference, think about that, at Washington State University, I came to the realization that I just wasn't big and strong enough to compete at the highest level. I didn't have what it took, and it finally gave it up playing baseball after my sophomore year. What follows is a bit of adversity for me. Probably the first time in my life things didn't go like I thought I had it planned. I transferred from Washington State University to the University of Arizona only because I had a friend there, quite frankly a bit lost, and worked half-heartedly towards an undergraduate degree. I still remember this weekend with my parents in 1976, the weekend of graduation. It's a bit embarrassing to relate this conversation, but it gives you an idea about where I started at. My dad asked me where the library was as we were walking the campus, and I couldn't tell him. I had not been there once in 2 years. I remember I had to round my GPA up to 3.0. As a reference point, my first job paid me $500 per month. That's gross, by the way, before statutory withholding and taxes. But I was lucky enough to find an entry-level job in the power business. I sat out on-the-job training and advice with much older and more experienced field construction supervisors, and I still remember several of their names. These early mentors ingrained in me lessons that guided me through my full-time working career. I never forgot them. They taught me that as you mature, it is not confidence in what you know that matters, but to the contrary, it's overconfidence, arrogance in what you don't know that will get you into trouble. They taught me never to turn down an opportunity for professional growth if it is offered. It means others are recognizing that you can do more for the company. When working with Bechtel Power out of San Francisco early in my career, I moved almost too many times to count to places that I had never been to. And they also taught me something that really stuck with me. They ingrained in me that hard work is more valuable to an organization than talent. Flash forward to 2001. I'd been in the commercial nuclear power business for 25 years, and I decided to take a big risk and go back to school to get an MBA. I was 47 years old and wanted to get into renewable energy in the worst way. I could envision wind, solar, and even battery energy storage as the future of the power business, but I knew without a major commitment to serious study, the opportunity to present myself as something more than just an old nuclear guy would hold me back. I needed new job skills. I applied to both Northwestern and the University of Chicago and somehow was admitted to both. I still don't know why. But to be very honest with the competition for these seats. But when accepted, Jane and I dove in with both feet, not having any idea what the outcome would be. I still chuckle when I think about my mental state after visiting both schools on a weekend with my teenage son. Seeing all the younger, brighter students walk in the hall, I was pretty sure I was going to fail out. I was lucky, however, to have had an example to follow, a mentor. That same father who I couldn't lead to the library at the U of A on graduation weekend was also my most valuable counsel. He graduated in 1948 as valedictorian of his class in rural, poor eastern Kentucky, but did not have the money to continue his education right away. He found entry-level work through a brother who had moved to southeastern Washington, married my mother and had me, and they saved all the money they could. In 1956, after 8 years of working and saving, they both quit their jobs and went back to school at Montana State University, where he was awarded a chemical engineering degree. I came to learn that he obtained the Chem-E degree with only 3 years of course study, 24 hours, 27 hours credits a semester. Anybody here taking organic chemistry? The reason for 3 years was simple. They didn't have the money to last 4 years away without working. I have 2 insights from these little stories that I'll leave you with today with some help again from Professor Bennis. First, recognize and embrace the idea that your degree today is just one step in a lifelong journey towards self-knowledge and self-reinvention. From my experience, it starts by eventually, over time, settling on a vocation, a line of work, or maybe even commitment to giving back to others that you are passionate about. I found renewable energy and leading organizations as my passion. I can honestly say that beginning with our decision to go back to school in 2001 until I retired in February of this year, not one day did I get out of bed and think, oh crap, I gotta go to work. I loved what I did and the people that I had pleasure of working with. In fact, what drove culture change in our organization here in Nevada was a simple concept. I wanted every single one of my 2,500 colleagues to feel the same way about their jobs as I did about mine. Second, once you find that thing or things you are passionate about, take charge. Mentors, friends, community will all help you round out your journey, but my experience is validation that nobody cares as much about you as you do. Professor Bennis writes about finding that inner voice, listening to it, and then acting on it. It is fantastic guidance. So in closing, deploy yourself, strike hard, and most important, have some fun doing it. Congratulations on your big day, and thanks so much for allowing me to participate.